Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Josh. And hey, you. Thank you
Hi.
for joining. Um, we're very excited to officially kick off this webinar. We have worked a ton to put together something that is insightful. What we're going to be seeing today is part of the conversations that we have with dozens of clients in the construction space. So we really hope you find something valuable here. And if you have questions throughout any of these presentations, just write them down, leave them in the chat, and at the end, we're going to have a section for Q&As here. Ryan and Josh, can you confirm you're seeing my screen?
We do not.
Okay, so there you go. Okay, there it is. So today we'll be talking about the 3 CRM data models for construction growth. That means, and just to give a little bit of background, that when we're talking about construction tech stack, there's just too many tools out there. And knowing where does the CRM fits inside that ecosystem is hard to understand. So we're going to be covering some of the nuances and the right data structure for when the CRM is part of that tech stack. Today, the speakers are Josh, Ryan. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Sure. Since I'm first here, I guess I will go first. Hi, everybody. It's nice to meet you. I'm Josh Damagala, the sales director for North America. I've been at Triario for about a year and a half, helped about over 100 customers and clients get on board with us since then. I've been in the sales world for about 9 years now, and the HubSpot ecosystem specifically about 6. I used to work directly at HubSpot before moving over to the agency side, and I'm here to help grow out the business in NAM. Ryan, if you're ready.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Really nice to be here. My name is Ryan. I'm the service delivery manager at North America here at Triario. Been over here for over 2 months now, 2 years, sorry, now. And worked with a lot of construction companies and really happy to join this call today and talk a little bit more about how the CRM is or how HubSpot has been such a huge plus for all of our construction company clients.
And well, my name is Jose. I'm one of the co-owners here at the agency, Regional North America Division. A little bit of background on the company. We have been working with clients across multiple industries for over 15 years. Triario was the second party to join the HubSpot partnership programs 15 years ago. Since then, we have been working on CRM implementations, website designs, integrations, and today we're at the forefront of AI, trying to add the AI layer on top of everything that we do. So, yeah, I'll let Josh kick things off here.
Sure. So let's start out with a couple of the main challenges that you might be facing and why you're actually here. So the first is that you can't report accurately. This usually comes from having multiple different data sources with key pieces of information that are important to run the business, but they're all coming in different ways. Maybe they're not fully connected. So it's difficult for us to actually have an understanding of what's going on and how we can take strategic and intentional action from there. Another one is probably marketing data is incomplete. So with today, how most construction companies run with their data models and tech stacks, marketing lives in one tool, but what you're actually doing from a jobs perspective, working those two fulfillment, contract one, and then as well as having the construction management or operational processes separate from there. It's all siloed like we were talking about, so you don't have access to all of that data to help nurture along the way. This is going to go hand in hand with attribution gaps here, where once again, and I probably sound like a broken record already, but if you don't have all the data in one source and understanding where it's coming from, what it means, what we should do with it, it's going to be hard to understand what's coming from what efforts. And then ultimately from CRMs that just never work. As you've probably experienced, there's always some company out there that's promising an all-in-one for a construction client like yourself. But the reality is there just isn't an all-in-one out there. So you end up having these siloed processes, going down these paths, trying to make something work that can't, and ultimately end up not getting the results that you need.
I'm trying to move. Hold on. There you go.
Sure. So to put this a little bit more bluntly or forward, if you will, here, construction management systems, we're talking like the Procores, Builder Trends, Zubers, all of that of the world. They're just terrible CRMs because they're not meant to be CRMs. There's CRM functionality that's bolted on top of that, but just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should. What is also going to happen is that the CRMs for construction management features are limited with that. And as I alluded to on the previous slide, an all-in-one tool, it does not exist in construction. There's always going to be a couple different softwares that make up a good tech stack to help enable processes in the right way, which we'll get to a little bit later in this webinar. So what I'm going to walk you through quickly here are sort of the 3 stages or phases that construction companies get to before they get to the right data model or approach that they need. So what we're seeing here is that these are 3 to 4 key processes for what you're doing of how are you generating leads for the business? How do you actually get your proposals and estimates out to them through quoting? And then the project management side of once a contract is actually won, and then actually the billing of everything from an accounting and bookkeeping standpoint. So what we see here is that all these different little bubbles have all these different logos inside, which are different tools that are handling these key processes for what you need to do to have your business to run. Our lead sources might be website, ads, people calling in directly, email touches, third-party integrations and aggregators, but all of that's disconnected from everything else that we're doing here. So for example, we might generate a lead here, but then where do we go? How do we know where they're at in the process? How do we know what we quoted them on? Are they in an active project with us? And if they are, have they even been billed? So most companies are going to have tools like this in place, but they don't talk to each other at this stage. What we're looking at from a stage 2 perspective is companies that are becoming a bit more advanced, forward thinking, realizing that maybe with what they had in the phase 1 worked for a while, but with everything that's out there now, not so much anymore. And it's usually a cost of inaction challenge that they're facing of what happens if we don't get a CRM that makes them get to this stage here where maybe speed to lead has become a big problem for the leads that are coming in. So you're losing out to competitors. Maybe it's hard to really understand potential clients and upsell, cross-sell opportunities that you have with them, or just a full picture of what's going on with them throughout the processes. So where the CRM starts to come in here is it's going to centralize all of those lead sources, but you're still going to rely on having the quoting tools separate, project management, accounting, all of that. So the full ecosystem isn't going to be fully integrated at this point. So you have some of it that's starting to work together, but still not all of it. So you're on the right track, but there's still more that can be done to have a full holistic view that you need to make informed decisions.
And one thing that I will add to that, Josh, is that another common example of that stage 2 is implementing a CRM and trying to make it replace your quoting or construction management tools when those processes are complex. So kind of like trying to make a CRM are all-in-one tool when, as we mentioned before, that does not exist.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, phase 3 or stage here of ultimately where you want to end up. So what HubSpot can do is many different things. Ultimately, you have the CRM layer. So everybody you're interacting with, they're interacting back with you, all the marketing channels to reach these people, the sales hub component where you can work them throughout the sales process, and then service aspects that go with that. So what we're seeing here is that all those original lead sources that were once disconnected are all taken care of into HubSpot, providing all the context you need on these leads. What you then can do as well here is it's going to be your orchestration layer by bringing in visibility points from these other tools or lines that we're looking at, meaning your quoting tool, your project management side, the accounting side. So with the quoting tool, you can bring in your estimates value, specifics around those into your deal records within HubSpot. Once you have a contract that's closed won and you've begun the actual construction management process side of things, you can have another pipeline in HubSpot that reflects the project management side of the business of where everything is at. And that's feeding in the information from your CMS tool, which, like I said, could be Procore, Jobber, Zuper, Buildertrend, all of those. And then lastly, what we're looking at is the accounting side too. So we can have the financial picture that's also in here. So ultimately, HubSpot is going to be your source of truth. It's not going to be the source of action for everything you do. But if you need to know where you're actually at with any of these processes, what is true, what should we use to drive the business forward, HubSpot will be your CRM to do that by integrating everything in here. And Ryan, I will pass to you.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how how the CRM fixes a lot of these issues that Josh has been mentioning previously. First, we have flexible sales cycles. So as you may already know, construction sales cycles vary a lot. Some close really fast, others take months. So a properly structured CRM supports both cycles without losing any visibility. So you can create multiple pipelines, you can create different deal stages, you can have automations, workflows that will match how your company actually sells, and will support your team into not having a generic system. So the CRM should adapt to your sales process, not the other way around. Second, we have single source of truth. So this is where most of our company clients, our construction company clients, have been struggling in the past. Sales live in emails, operations live in a job management tool, accounting lives in QuickBooks, and then marketing lives somewhere else. A construction-specific CRM data model connects marketing, sales, and field operations into one shared system. Everyone on your team will be able to see the same customer record, the same job number, and the same revenue numbers. When everyone works from the same system, accountability improves automatically. Third, here we have full automation. Automation ensures that follow-ups happen, that stage updates happen as well. Nothing falls through the cracks, and from lead intake to job completion, everything is visible. Automation also protects your revenue. Finally, what we have here is also clean reporting. With the right setup, you can clearly see what's driving revenue into your business. Lead sources, close rates, job sizes, sales cycles, everything. Clarity improves forecasting and decision-making for all of your sales paths and sales teams. So when implemented correctly, a CRM with a very specific construction data structure, this CRM becomes the central nervous system for your whole business. Moving forward here and diving a bit deeper, it's not just about having a CRM, it's how this CRM connects to the rest of your systems. So first we have attribution visibility. When leads are coming through your CRM, you will never lose attribution. You can see which marketing channels actually are generating revenue and not just leads. This is something you can't measure. If you don't have something that you can measure, you will not be able to scale it. And this is exactly where CRMs come into play. Next, we have scheduling automations. So when booking and deal stages are connected, scheduling all your calls with your clients becomes a forecasting signal. You can predict workload and revenue more accurately. Third, here we have how we mirror jobs and how this enables automation as well in the CRM. In construction, your job management system might be the operational source of truth. However, the CRM helps mirroring job records to enable reporting and automations, as we've seen in the past slides as well. So this means your revenue updates and will be syncing automatically, job status changes, and these changes can trigger communications inside of the CRM, operation data feeds into the sales dashboards. And here it's not about duplication, but it's synchronization for this to be, again, your source of truth for all the different processes and all the different sections that we've seen as well. Finally, we have quoting, which is directly tied to revenue. This is one of the biggest blind spots in construction companies, and it generates a disconnect between estimates and actual revenue that you are able to see. When your accounting systems connect to a CRM, invoice data flows back into the deal, payments update revenue automatically, and you can compare estimated versus actual revenue. You can do those comparisons directly in the CRM. So this closes the loop from marketing all the way into the cash that you're actually collecting. When a CRM is implemented with a construction-specific data model and all of the different tools that we've seen here are connected properly to your estimating, job management, and account systems, this will stop being just a sales tool. It becomes an operational control center, and that's exactly where real scalability happens. Jose, I'll pass it over to you.
Well, thank you. And that's a good segue into the 3 CRM data models. So that orchestration layer, that source of truth, that automation and reporting centralized platform, which is the CRM, can come in 3 different shapes. Over the course of the last 15 years, we have implemented this for dozens, if not hundreds, of construction companies. And we've learned that there are so many different sales processes and levels of complexity. And there are 3 ways that the CRM can adapt to that. Model 1 is HubSpot or your CRM becomes your all-in-one tool. I know we said that didn't really exist. And I will tell you that this only applies to say 5 or 10% of the companies out there. This would be an option when you are a very small company, your quoting and your project/construction management processes are not complex at all. And then you might still be able to get away with a CRM that replaces many of your tech stack. Model 2, the CRM is integrated with your construction and field management system. This is actually the most common that we see out there. Probably 70 to 80% of the companies would have the CRM connected to their construction management tool. And model 3 is it's not only integrated to the construction management tool, but also the quoting tool, because the quoting is also complex and cannot be replaced by the CRM. So it connects to an external system that brings all the financials and the information of those jobs into the CRM. We're going to see that represented in here in a minute. So I'm going to be jumping between the presentation and a flow chart with some of those examples. So model number 1, everything in HubSpot. I'm going to start here. Model number 1. So I'm going to be going over these 3 examples of flow charts. The first one is right here. Everything that you see in orange would be your CRM. Think of HubSpot. Of course, many of the examples that we're putting today are applicable to HubSpot, but also to most of the top tier CRMs out there because they share a similar data structure. This process number 1 would have all your contact sources connected to the CRM. Think of website forms, paid ads, chatbots, imports, other aggregators, one-to-one emails. They all come into HubSpot. You have your marketing automations here, lead routing. There's some sort of qualification. Think of appointment scheduling happening inside the CRM. New lead, attempting, connected, qualified, or disqualified when the appointment is scheduled. You can set automations to notify your sales reps, escalations, and all of that. And then once you are able to set that appointment, you create a job so your deals will be your job, starting from appointment scheduling all the way until the contract is signed and the job is completed. In this first data model, you track everything inside HubSpot. It works for marketing teams that need to centralize their data and attribution reports, companies with simple quoting, and field management processes that do not have too many steps. They don't have complex dispatch or hour tracking or change orders or material orders. All those can add certain layers of complexity that CRMs do not provide out of the box. So back to the data model 1 here. In this data model, marketing team connects the lead generation channels, auto-assign leads with a clean channel, and campaign source attribution. The sales team schedules that appointment, have the deal creation, and creates all those estimates inside the CRM. And the construction management piece happens inside the CRM as well. Lightweight field management, task assignment, photo uploads, team notes, and communication tracking. So this is best for companies with straightforward quoting, streamlined operations, and marketing teams that need a centralized attribution reports. Now, if your company has any level of complexity when building or managing those projects or jobs, you're doing dispatch management, hour tracking, change order, progressive billing, then you're probably used to and married to your construction management tool. That takes us to the model number 2. Model number 2 is the same process that we just mentioned, and the jobs are even started in HubSpot. The quotes are started in the CRM in HubSpot. The quote is sent from HubSpot negotiation. The contract is signed. All of that is handled inside the CRM. And once the contract is signed, then it pushes and creates a job into your construction management software. Think of Zuper, Service Titan, Jobber, Procore. The job is created, the job started, job completed. And at each of those stages, it syncs back into HubSpot with the most relevant data, including the status, the updated amount, because there are change orders that are supported in these systems and that update the financial information of those jobs. That pushes and syncs back into HubSpot. At this point, the accounting software are connect to your, typically those field management softwares have integrations with your accounting system. And what we do is we keep that integration in place and maybe sync those invoices back into the CRM just if you need to have them there for visibility. Data model number 2 is great for marketing teams because they connect all those channels, all the leads coming to a CRM. The attribution is always kept because they see the lead that comes in and all the way until the project that is closed. Sales team schedule, deal creation, and estimates are still in the CRM. And closed deals push to the third-party system, the construction management system, with bidirectional sync returning job data. These work best for companies that are advanced field management that go beyond CRM features with a centralized attribution and straightforward quoting. If your quoting has hierarchical products, different price lists based on vendors, complex calculations based on square footage, and you don't want to do your estimates or your calculations on a spreadsheet, and you want all-in-one tool to do all of that, that will probably require integration with a third-party tool. That takes us to model number 3. Model number 3 is everything that we have discussed with the addition of, so HubSpot tracks all the leads, qualification or appointment scheduling happens here, and all the deals and jobs are in HubSpot, but most of the information is being synced from 2 different systems. One for estimates, so when the deal is created inside the CRM, because the appointment was scheduled, the deal is created, it pushes and creates a new job or a new quote. That estimate is completed, and the estimate syncs back into the CRM, so the CRM knows that the quote was sent. There's some negotiation, the contract signature, and once the contract is signed, then it pushes and updates, HubSpot updates your third-party system and creates a new job. From there, it is the same process that we discussed before. Job started, job completed, and syncing back into the CRM. This data model works when companies have a complex, not only quoting, but also, not only construction management process, but also quoting process. Again, the benefits here is marketing has all the data connected. Sales schedules the deals in the CRM, this estimates in a specialized platform supporting layout drawings, dynamic pricing, multi-factor calculations. All of those complexities are handled in a third-party quote estimate system and pushed into the CRM. And your construction operation works in their tool of preference, and HubSpot syncs all that information back. When you have all that data connected into the CRM, there are many things that you can do, including notifications to those sales reps, follow-ups, automation, notification to operations, tasks, schedules, sending next steps, satisfaction surveys, upsell, cross-sell, just because HubSpot consolidates the data end to end from lead intake to project or job closure. Now, before we talk about the automation layer, and Ryan gave you a couple of examples. Now, I want to talk about the AI layer for construction companies. Once you have all that data and the data is clean and structured, then that opens the door for a number of different AI-related opportunities. Think smart segmentations. So you can analyze the data, what's happening with data and unstructured data, and take that as a segment to fire communications and automations. For example, I can detect that in the transcript of a call with a client, he mentioned another vendor, another competitor. That could add it to a segment and fire an marketing automation with a document with a comparison of your company services versus that specific vendor. Think of the number of possibilities that you can do if you have access to all of that structured and non-structured data of the entire process. The second one is campaign optimization, because you are firing currently, if you are utilizing doing paid ads or social media, you're sending out all that, but you don't know how much of that. You may know how many of those users convert into a form, but you don't know whether the appointment was scheduled. You don't know whether the job was closed. All those ultimate conversion events need to feed back into your paid ads for optimization of that paid ads budget. That can happen when you have this layer. And the AI can tell you which campaigns can be optimized, which assets needs to be tweaked and changed, a landing page that needs changing, wording, moving certain elements. All of the AI can help you optimize conversion in each of those assets. Contextual follow-ups for sales reps. It is very common that we need to do follow-up with a client, but then templated messages may be generic. Now, if we have context on what was discussed on the calls, then a message can be more tailored and more polished. So I can reach out and say, Jose, last time we discussed this, and I know you mentioned you were concerned about this. Have you made a decision on this? I also found this and I want to share that with you. The AI can craft and generate those messages for you and even send it out if you want to. And finally, for companies with long RFP evaluations, the AI can analyze RFPs with certain parameters or guidelines and determine whether it is worth submitting a bid for those RFPs. There's a lot of work towards building out an estimate for some construction companies, and the AI can definitely simplify and streamline a big portion of that process. Now that takes us into the Q&As. I know there was a lot of information and probably many new concepts to you. I hope most of that, some of that was insightful. If you work in construction, and how can you relate or compare this to the current setup that you currently have or past experiences? We would love to hear your feedback or questions. Okay, first one here. Which of the three data models is best for a small residential contractor versus a large commercial firm? I can take that one. I would say small residential contractors typically have a CRM, but they have construction management tools. Even when they're small, they have construction management tools in place. So probably model 2 is going to be what we're looking into here, unless there's any layer of complexity. Larger firms definitely always have quoting tools and construction management tools that need to be kept. So we will be talking about model 3. How long does it typically take to transition from a messy CRM to one of these structured data models? Tim, do you want to take that one? Josh or Ryan?
Yeah, I can take that one. And then Ryan, I'm going to tag you in too, because you manage our team that does this. So I think you'll have some good insight for that as well too. So I think first we'd have to define what actually is messy. I mean, are we talking 100 records where we're like missing some first name, last names, emails, things like that? Or are we talking 100,000? If we're looking on the lower end of a messy CRM, part of what we would want to do is understand the data that needs to be cleaned, where it needs to go, kind of like the ideal future state. But we would also want to have, for any type of implementation, the right data model that Jose walked you through, designed to your business processes as the blueprint of what we're going to build into HubSpot. So typically we see the significantly more complex projects take about 4 months, where the ones that aren't as bad, 2 to 3 months. And Ryan, if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It completely depends on what we're talking about here when we're saying messy, how the data is, how many how much time it's going to take for hygiene and data structure, and for the data to be actually workable for all the sales teams. So I would definitely agree that for more complicated projects, we've worked for 4 months, and then slightly less complicated projects take 2 to 3 months.
What is the most common mistake construction companies make when first setting up HubSpot?
So I could start by answering this. Assuming it can or should do processes that it shouldn't. And this goes back to the segment that we were talking about in the beginning, where HubSpot can do quotes, but if you have a very complicated estimates process and you need measurements, photos, pictures, all of that for it, basically trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Keeping HubSpot where it would have the most value for you is key, where traditionally what we see is it's used from a marketing hub and sales hub standpoint. So attracting leads to the business, qualifying them, moving your jobs or projects throughout all the appropriate stages, and then syncing in that information from the right sources from there.
Do you recommend connecting HubSpot with project management tools like Procore or keeping them separate? Ryan.
Definitely can take this one. Definitely, this should be a yes. They should be connected. Sales reps, the most thing we want for them is to save time as much as we can. So having 2 places where they need to do double entry is not efficient at all. Having those 2 systems connected is a huge save on time, on visibility, on accountability, on different teams working on same projects or same deals. So we've worked on projects like this before here at the company, and we've seen how this has driven efficiency, and it works great for teams to have information in HubSpot for reporting, for automations, for marketing, but then they have all the same information in Procore where they can be setting up their projects and having all the construction data there as well. So nothing gets lost and there's no double entry and everything is working seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I'll add to that is that for any integration, for any of these data models, we're not trying to have all 100% of the data in both places because we don't need to. I mean, HubSpot could store most of that information, but you don't need to sync every single piece of data inside the CRM, only those that you need for reporting and automations. Can you talk fee structure and support you provide, setup, ongoing? How long does the engagement, or is it forever? That's a good question. I can take that one. So typically these projects have an initial setup that goes, as we mentioned, 3 to 4 months typically. That is building out the data structure and connecting it to the rest of your tech stack. After that, your team is fully autonomous and can work on HubSpot. Now, the CRM maturity and evolution, depending on how many people you have in your team, and if you have CRM admin capabilities internally, you might find value in sticking with us through ongoing support if that's needed. But no, it is not forever. What is forever is the use of the tools, which is HubSpot, the CRM, and having your team operating those.
One thing I would like to add to that too, and I don't mean for it to sound like a cop-out answer, but it's just true to form here, where if we're looking at what a project could cost, it really is what you're trying to accomplish through that upfront in the implementation. And then we would have to add on layers of how many integrations are in the mix, different needs around all of that, where if it's more of a robust setup where we're looking at data model 2 and 3, it's easily in the lower to mid 5 figures for that. And the number of integrations can increase that price as well too.
Thank you, Josh. We're also going to leave here the meeting link. If you want to book time with us, we're happy to discuss your specific nuances, data model, integrations, and whatnot, so we can build out something more custom. Every client is different, and we acknowledge that. So our evaluation processes start with a deep understanding of the processes, tech stack, and building out the right data structure. Something like what you saw today, but tailored to your specific needs. And that was everything for today. We appreciate you making time for this. I hope you had something, you get something insightful and you learned something today. We will be sending out the recordings. We'll be inviting you to our following webinars, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.